Hey guys, this is Thomas over here, nursemoneytalk.com, and in this video what I want to do is I want to talk about just like how you can kind of stop or prevent yourself from feeling like an idiot as a new nurse. Before I get into that, if you're not already subscribed, I want to go ahead and invite you to hit that subscribe button. On this channel, I talk about all things related to nurse, nursing student, and of course, nurse life. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to talk about, and to me, this is probably one of, if not the most important thing. And it's something where if you don't get this, then I think it's going to be really hard for anything else I'm going to say or for anything else somebody could say in terms of helping you kind of navigate this feeling of like almost like an incompetence or like you feel like you're not competent, that you're dumb whenever you're a new nurse, and that is the feeling of imposter syndrome. And so if you're somebody who, like, let's say you don't really quite know what imposter syndrome is, it's more or less like this feeling of like you don't belong. It's kind of like the name, like an imposter, almost like you're a phony, if you will. Like you don't belong as a nurse, like you're not worthy, you shouldn't be a nurse, and all of this stuff. Like it could be, some people might say like maybe like that little voice in the back of your head that's just kind of putting you down and making you feel inadequate. Well, the first thing I really want to say, and I want this to get across, is that you are good enough. Like you do belong as a nurse, and you need to understand that, and you need to embrace that, because listen, you've managed to go through like this nursing school journey, which is a feat in and of itself. And then on top of that, if you're a new nurse, that probably means you pass boards, you pass the NCLEX. That in and of itself is another feat. So many people say they want to be a nurse and then never start or don't even get into nursing school. On top of that, some people start and then never finish. And then even moving forward, plenty of people finish, and then you do have some who never or who don't pass boards. That does actually happen, but you have done all of that, pass board, and so you just need to own it. It is a difficult journey. The first year is difficult, but you are not the exception to the difficultiness of the first year. In other words, like it's not like you feeling like you're not ready or just like this feeling of like there's a lot of stuff you don't know. That is not unusual to you. That is the case for pretty much all new nurses. So from there, I want to roll into some of my other points. The next one being, and I've touched on it kind of briefly here, and that's that you need to accept that you will not know everything. At least not right away. Actually, you're never gonna know everything, but especially when you're starting out, there's gonna be a lot of things you don't know. And honestly, that's going to come with time. That's definitely gonna come with time. Like the first there's kind of like this stretch, what I would call like the first kind of couple weeks, maybe the first month. You have a preceptor, you're kind of getting comfortable-ish because you're getting comfortable, but you feel safe because you have somebody who is kind of like your safety net. And then like after you get past like your orientation, you're gonna have first several months where it's gonna feel like you don't know anything, but rest assured, with time, that feeling will change. The next thing I want to encourage you is to make sure you are open to learning from your mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen. It is absolutely going to happen. Any nurse, any experienced nurse that tells you that they have not made mistakes in their career is lying. Mistakes are going to happen. The key thing is know what to do when that happens, and then also make sure that you are learning from your mistakes. The next point is that you need to recognize, right, that even experienced nurses are still learning new things every day. I have been with nurses who have been, nurses for 2 or 3 times as long as I've been a nurse, and they will still marvel at how much on a regular basis they are still learning new things. How much, like, maybe there's a new, like, even a disease that they thought that they knew how to treat or how it's supposed to happen. There's just like something different or unique that can happen with that. Or they see something that they haven't seen before. It's just like you'll be shocked at how common that actually happens. The next thing is to look at finding a mentor, right? Seek out an experienced nurse or experienced nurses who can potentially offer guidance and support. Having a mentor, or maybe it's not even like a formal thing. I know like some facilities, like during like the orientation process, like they might like give you like a formal mentor or something like that, or kind of create opportunities for that. And if you have a situation like that and it's working, then that's great. But for many of you, that's not going to be the case. So having somebody who you can reach out to and just ask questions to is going to be really important. It doesn't even have to be like anything super formal. It's just somebody who you can trust, if you will. My next thing is to don't be afraid to ask questions. So some people think that asking questions will make them feel like they're dumb or they're idiots or whatever the case may be. But that is not entirely the case. In so many ways, asking questions actually does the opposite of that. It makes you seem like you're smart. And here's what I mean. So let's remember that, first of all, you're a new nurse. Everybody knows that you are a new nurse. Questions, they know that you're going to have questions, right? And so asking questions, asking the right questions, it's a way that people will actually recognize that, okay, this person's like actually trying to learn. And it makes you also seem like that you're not like, you'll see that those people who like, they seem like they know it all when in fact they don't, or they're not asking questions as you're sitting there watching them doing something completely wrong. And so don't let that be you. The other thing to note is that when you ask questions to people, that like people are, what did it say? They said people are more likely to like you because now on one hand, if I remember, it was saying how like, well, people in general just kind of, want to feel like they know things. And so it makes them feel good about themselves. And in turn, then they feel good about you. I'm going to try to see if I can find that article and I'll put it in the link descriptions below. But what I did remember getting out of that article is that asking questions, asking the good questions, asking the right questions is a good way, one, to keep you from doing dumb things that you shouldn't be doing. And it's actually a way to kind of build relationships as well. The next point is to make sure that you develop strong communication skills. This is anything from making sure that you practice active listening when somebody's explaining something or giving instructions. Active listening could be just as simply as, well, one, making sure that you're paying attention, and two, like asking questions. One, it lets that person know that you are actually paying attention. And then the other thing, it kind of helps you stay engaged and helps you kind of reinforce the information that you're getting, and also make sure that you are receiving that information the way that person intended. The other thing to note is, and when it comes to communication, is to make sure that you yourself are practicing and learning how to deliver good communication. Like, you need to make sure that you are, when you are talking to somebody, that you are clear and concise, that you are choosing your words carefully, because you want to make sure that the words that are coming out of your mouth that person is perceiving those words, your communication or whatever, and is taking it the way you intended. Because there's a lot of ways when it comes to communications, especially when I think about as giving patient education or talking to coworkers, where things you think you've explained things well, but come to find out that that person really did not understand what you had said, or just took something completely different than the way you had intended. The next point is to learn how to get when you're at work and to stay organized. So this could be things such as creating a checklist, so to make sure that you know what all you need to do, like this is what I'm going to do for every patient, this is what I'm going to do for that patient, this is what I'm going to do, like maybe like in the morning before this time. And then you prioritize those tasks, or maybe like rearrange the order of like that list to where the most important things are the ones you're going to do first. And then once you do that, what really helps is to then try to kind of establish your own routine for how you're going to do things. And once again, this is going to take a little bit of time, but I think it's something that can happen quicker if you're actually being proactive and thinking about what you're doing, right? Like as you're maybe like making a checklist of the day, and then you realize at the end of the day, you just kind of think like, oh, okay, I said I was gonna do like task A before task B, but like things would have actually have gone by smoother if I had done task B instead of task A. Or just kind of like stuff like that. And so that can actually end up making a big difference. Because if you look on your unit, you look at like your seasoned nurses, like your nurses who've been doing this for a while, and especially the ones who they've been doing this for a while, but they've been working in that department for a while. What you'll notice for many of them is that they have a flow, they have a routine, and they pretty much stick to that routine just about every day. Next thing is to take care of yourself, which the anxiety is gonna feed kind of like your emotion that you're incompetent, which then kind of feeds the emotion that like, oh my goodness, like I'm an idiot type deal. You need to take care of yourself. You need to prioritize your own self-care. Because if you don't prioritize your own self-care, you're putting yourself at a high risk for burnout. I was just looking at something the other day that had explained that almost about like a third or close to a half of new nurses could potentially leave the profession within like their first couple of years that they enter into practice. And so you need to figure out a way how to manage that, like what works best for you. I have some other articles and some videos that check out the YouTube channel, and I'll put some in the descriptions below where you can start learning how you can prioritize your self-care, how you can put yourself first, because you really do need to do that. I've always liked the saying of like, if you aren't taking care of yourself, how are you going to have anything left? How are you going to have anything that then you can then use to take care of other people? I'm pretty sure I butchered that saying, but regardless, I'm sure you get my point. You need to take care of yourself. On top of that, you need to find ways to manage your stress. Nursing can be a very stressful profession, and especially for many of you guys who, like, if you work in very high stressful specialties. So like I'm thinking like maybe your ERs, I'm thinking like your ICUs, if you work mental health nursing, things like that, like finding ways that you can manage and cope with that stress so you can leave the burdens of work at work. And then when you get home, then you can, be able to do what you need to do. If you got a family, be able to be able to tend and take care of them. On top of that though, just kind of like as a random side point, make sure you're maintaining a healthy work-life balance. There's going to be temptation, like once you're off orientation, to start picking as many shifts as possible. One, I know plenty of you guys will have student loans or whatever that you're just trying to, you've been spending money now. You just want to be able to start making money. But I would encourage you to try to be careful how many shifts you pick up your first year as you're still trying to kind of get your footing, as you're still trying to kind of understand this role of being a nurse and what you need to do, what you need to not do. So just kind of be careful of picking up large amount of extra shifts. I'm not saying don't pick up any extra shifts. I just, from somebody who's been there, done that, there's a really strong chance of burning yourself out fairly quickly within your first year if you're picking up too many shifts and especially not having very good like work-life balance. Last key points is to just make sure that as you're hopefully self-evaluating yourself, that you are embracing your strengths and working on your weakness. You want to identify areas where you excel and use that to boost your confidence. And at the same time, you want to acknowledge areas that need improvement. And then, at the same time, then seek out the resources that will then help you grow and, make those weaknesses not so much as a weakness. You don't have to necessarily make those weaknesses into a strength. And for some of you guys, depending on what that weakness is, you might never be able to do that, honestly. And that's not anything unique to you. It's just that, once again, you can't be good at everything. But the thing is, you just don't want the weaknesses to be so bad that it is a hindrance to everything else that you're doing. And so, with that said, I'm going to put a link in the descriptions below. You can also, you'll see it on the screen. Check out nursemoneytalk.com/new nurse academy, because as I mentioned about seeking resources to help make your weaknesses not so much of a weakness, I think checking out this course can be a great tool in terms of helping you embrace your strengths, and while at the same time working on like a weakness you might have. So for example, one of the things in the course is about documentations, right? So if documentations is a weakness of yours, then the module on documentations in this course could be something that is, that could be beneficial to you. So like I said, nursemoneytalk.com/new nurse academy. Link is in the descriptions below so you can check out what all the modules are. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you very soon in that next video.